What's up, guys? Today is the first official video of the truck build. I plan on cleaning and painting the front axle. Before we can do that though, we gotta move this, take this, go pick up the axle, list some chains, and then we'll get to it. That's taken care of. This is what I'm working on. So what I'm going to do is grind this on, not grind, sand it, wire brush it all down, clean it up. And then what I'm going to do is go over it with some acetone or some type of lacquer thinner, clean it, just degrease it. They're going to throw some primer on there, some corrosion preventative primer, something to prevent or prolong the inevitable of it rusting out and falling apart on me. So yeah, I guess we'll get to it. I also want to preface something before I get into any detail. I am not a professional whatsoever. Do not follow anything I say to a T. Do not. Okay? This is strictly off of what I've learned through experiences and stuff like that. I've never gone to school to do this, ever. This is strictly off of what I've learned on my own. And on that note, we need to get these control arms out so I can actually paint the inside of these brackets and the mounts for them. And I'm not going to be using these control arms because, well, I cut them halfway off. So we're going to get these bolts out. I tried using an impact, heat, everything except oxyacetylene to melt it. Hasn't worked, so I think I'm just going to cut the bolts off, or cut the nut off, and then pop it out with a punch. Safety squints. and then I'll hit it with a punch a couple times, see if it'll go. Now, we'll try beating the piss out of it. I tried to record yesterday. It didn't go good. As you can see, I don't have my mics on. It's because I broke the transmitter from my phone. Like a doofus. That was accidental. Alright, let's get this done. Well, I didn't want to have to, but it looks like we might have to cut into the control arm. Right here, to maybe free up some pressure on that bolt. I think it's what's holding it is the bushing inside of it. Because that bushing is from factory probably. I'd imagine no one's changed it. I didn't. So, it's just gonna smell like burnt rubber for a little bit. It's gonna stink. But, it needs to get done. So, we're switching wheels and getting her done. I'm gonna grab a fan. Oh no! Spilled my monster. I guess it's got a little bit left. You don't know how upsetting that is. Alright, that heater kind of sucks. It was blowing, or not heater, that fan sucks. It was blowing straight cold air. And I would rather die of cancer right now than be cold. So, you gotta take it. Go with bad, you know? Have an idea. Now I'm getting pissed. As you can see, This one is beyond cooked. Obviously we're not reusing these, but it took a little bit to get it out. It needed some convincing. Now we're gonna move to the second one. I really hope this one isn't as bad, because that one took forever to do. Woo! Thank God this week's a deload for lifting anyway, because I don't know if I'd be able to go lift after doing this. Some of you may be wondering, why don't I just use a breaker bar or something, right? Why don't I just use a breaker bar and try and break it off or heat it up? Well, I don't know if you can tell. That's flat. That's flat all the way through. So the reason why I can't just thread it off and I'm having to do all this extra crap is because it's not even gonna thread. Like if I were to even try and put this together again, it wouldn't thread. Yeah, that's what you get buying a 20-year-old truck. So I guess we'll do the same procedure I did earlier. So while I'm waiting for my angle grinder battery to charge for a little bit, maybe I can give you guys some insight, like, why am I doing this? What's the goal? You know, because don't get me wrong, I like doing this stuff for fun, but I've been at this for a while now. So I want to rebuild my old truck. It's going to be similar, a little different, other than, well, in the fact that it's going to have a diesel. I have a block right over there, manual transmission, flatbed, same cab and paint codes and everything like that. But last year, unfortunately, my truck finally gave out. The transmission, you know, kaput. If you know anything about a second-gen Dodge, you know the transmission is absolutely horrible. 47RE is, that's the transmission code, is horrible. So I parked it, got a reliable car so I could really work on this rather than repairing it while I'm driving it daily. It gives me more time, and so at the end of the project, these axles are going to be under there painted. I have a wooden flatbed, 12 valve Cummins under the hood, hopefully making around 450 horsepower with 1,000 foot-pound torque is the goal. And then I want to put a manual, 5-speed manual, NP 4500 5-speed manual that came in those trucks. So a lot of money and time, and the long and short of it, a lot of money and time is going to have to go into this. And I'm here for the ride. I really do miss driving my truck every single day. It was my first truck, not my first car, but my first truck. And that thing was amazing. Other than when it had issues, obviously. But it did have a V10, the 8-liter V10 engine in it. That I did do a top end, I had to do a top end rebuild on it. And then the only other issue was rust, like the frame. Frame wasn't good. It had a couple holes, cracks, you know. Midwest, if you're gonna live in the Salt Belt, you know what I'm talking about. Wasn't very good. So hopefully, I've got a new frame also. I didn't mention that. I do have a new frame that I have to get sandblasted and painted. Well, this truck's practically going to be brand new. It's going to be a Frankenstein build though, because these axles are from my 02. That cab right here is from a 94. The engine I have, I think, is from a first gen Dodge 12 valve, like maybe an 89, 90. The flatbed, I think when I got it, I traded it for stuff, but I got it, I think it came off with 97. There's going to be no ECU, no TCM, no CPU. It's going to be all mechanical gauges. It's basically going to be a glorified road tractor. Yeah, so I can't wait till it's done, but until then, you know, we're doing little things like this here. It's all in the details, you know, so hopefully it'll look somewhat decent, you know. That's about it though. The only problem is I don't have time or money. Yeah, that one was cooked too. I cut it off there and cut it off here. I didn't even cut the middle this time, but yeah, them bushings are fried. On to the next problem. Now this is our next problem right here. So this is a pitman arm, part of one, right? I cut this off so I could get the axle out from the truck. Same thing with the control arms. Same thing with the sway bar end links that were right here, but are not now because I took them out. So this right here needs to come off. This little piece on this thread. Tried and tried and tried yesterday. Didn't work, obviously. It's still on here. So now I'm going to try a puller and see if that can't get the job done. And like that. It is off. This seal right here is a little messed up. That's fine. Eventually we'll replace that, but if you don't have a puller already in your toolbox, I recommend it heavily. Now we'll move on to actually cleaning the dang thing and getting it ready to be painted. So I think it's about as going to be as good as it's going to get. I'm going to clean her off with some acetone, and then we can start painting. She's clean enough. I'm gonna go get lunch and then we can start priming her down. So now we're about to start painting. That is primer. That's not the color it's gonna be when all said and done. But that's the first coat that's gonna go on here. There's gonna be a glossy black paint that goes over that. So let's get started. So I got what I wanted to get done. All the main parts is painted. So I think we're looking good so far. Eventually I'm gonna take off some of these control steering linkages and paint those individually, but until then I'm just gonna let this sit. But so that's pretty much all she wrote for today. Until this sets, obviously I can't really paint the actual color that I want onto it, so we'll just have to wait till tomorrow and see how she looks. And I don't know if I'll film tomorrow, I might, but if I don't, I will be filming when it's all complete and said and done, this house. But that'll be all for today, folks. I hope you tune in next time.